Good day, everyone. So, last meeting we've discussed about social constructivism. Social constructivism is a learning theory that explains where people learn by interacting with others. It explains that knowledge is not built alone. Instead, it is shaped by conversations, collaborations, or with shared experiences. Now, let us talk about the benefits and challenges of social constructivism. So, the first one, it promotes critical thinking and creativity. ICT provides tools just like videos, simulations, or mga digital projects that encourages students to analyze, evaluate, and come up with original ideas instead of just memorizing them. So with ICT, mas maka-encourage siya sa students to come up with a project nga mas ma-engage gani sila through collaborations. Dili ra kay sila mag-focus on memorizing. Second one, strengthens communication and collaboration skills. Online platforms like group chats or like mga shared documents help students practice expressing ideas clearly and working together with classmates even outside sa classrooms. Through ICT no, like kanang maka-share na taog documents nga ang each student kay maka-help sila to collaborate with each other even sa kanang online nga platform. So the third one builds digital literacy and responsibility. Students learn how to use technology properly. Like maka-research sila safely, mag-evaluate online information to protect their own data, and they should know how to behave in digital spaces. The fourth one makes learning interactive and meaningful. So ICT allows students to explore topics through multimedia, games, virtual experiments, and real-world examples, making lessons more engaging and relevant. Instead nga more on memorization sila with the help sa ICT kay mas engaging na gani ang mga activities sa students. Like mananay mga videos, pwede na sila mag-use o games to learn actively. On the other hand, naa say mga challenges sa ICT. So first, it requires internet access and devices. So as we all know, not all students man have stable internet na ay kanang own computers or laptops or kanang mga smartphone, mo na ang makalimit sa students participation and learning opportunities. So diri murag limit ra ang opportunity sa student na maka-learn or maka-collaborate online because nag-require man siya og kanang internet access or kanang mga devices. Second, students may get distracted online. So, with easy access na sa kanang games or social medias or kanang mga unrelated content gani sa academics, ang students may lose focus during lessons if not properly guided. So, for example, ani sa during online classes, murag ang student gani kay murag mawagtangan na sila og focus mo na sila kay while ka-klase kay magsige na lang og scroll sa cellphone, dali ra jud sila ma-distract. Next one is teachers need training to use ICT tools effectively. Technology is kuan man keeps changing. So teachers sad must need to adapt or continuously learn how to use new apps like mga platforms or mga digital teaching strategies. Dapat sila ang first gani nga knower unsaon pag gamit sa devices kay sila man sad ang mo teach sa students. The last one must ensure equal participation among learners. Some students may dominate group tasks while others stay quiet. Teachers need to design activities that encourage everyone to contribute fairly. So naapoy uban nga ka ng mga group activities na ang uban student kay sila na lang mulihok tanan, ang uban kay dili na mo tingog. So as a teacher, dapat sad ka kabaw ka mo make og activities nga dapat tanan student is included. Now, let us proceed to the next learning theory, which is the connectivism learning theory. It is a modern learning theory posed by George Siemens on 2004 and Stephen Jones. It describes how people learn through networks, especially online. So, connectivism explains that learning happens through networks, just like connections between people, technology, information sources, and digital communities. So, in today's world, knowledge is constantly changing. So, learning means knowing where to find information, not memorizing everything. So, kung ang constructivism learning theory, nag-talk siya nga ang learning is through collaboration, ang connectivism is ang learning daw is through connection with other people or sa imuhang technology or any digital communities. Now, let us talk about the role of ICT in connectivism. First, ICT tools connects learner globally. So with the help of ICT no, kanang mas maka-learn gihapon ang student through internet or kanang online platforms. Second, platforms like social media, blogs, and online forums allows continuous learning. So even online kay continuous ra gihapon ang learning sa student kay naara man gihapon sila connection. Third, learners create and share content using digital devices. So instead nga mag-memorize ang student sa ilang learning, mag-use na sila og mga digital device para mag-create sila mga activities, projects, or any outputs. Next is the role of the teacher. First, acts as curator and guide. So ang teacher sila ang mo guide or kanang mo select gani og mga platforms para kanang safety ra ang pag-use sa mga students sa online platforms. Second, help students build their personal learning networks. So ang teachers, sila ang mo assist sa students unsaon pag-use sa mga digital devices, mga online platforms para mo improve pa ang mga learning sa student. The third one encourages learners to seek, evaluate, and share online information. So sila pud ang mag-teach sa student no kung how to be safe in online platforms saan nila pag-evaluate sa information na dili sila ma-scam, ma-hack, o sila pud ang mo-motivate na mag-research sa first before mo tuo sa any informations. Lastly is the role of the student. First, becomes independent and connected learner. So with the help of ICT kay murag kaya na sa student nga mo learn gani sa iya kay daghan murag broad naman ang internet, daghan na siyang makita mga informations, mga videos or mga tutorials through online platforms. Second, builds knowledge by linking diverse information sources. So with ICT sad kay as I've said earlier, broad na siya, daghan na siya mga informations, murag malink na sa student kung unsa iyahang na-learn sa diri nga site, unsa iyang na-learn diri sa PICAS. So, that's why mas mo broad sad ang knowledge sa student. The third one is learns to filter and verify information online. So, just I've said earlier sa nga, ang teacher kay mo helps siya mo or mo guide siya sa student on how to be safe in online place. So, ang student sad mas makabalo na sad sila on how to be safe like kana i-verify na nila ang mga informations o dili na sila dali mutuo sa mga any informations online. So now, here are some examples of connectivism learning. First, participating in online communities. For example, Reddit, Discord, or Facebook groups. So, ang kani mas makahelp siya nga mag-share gani og mga ideas ang mga students through online platforms nga kana gani naa sila yung mga same experiences. Second, using Google Scholar AI tools to find knowledge. With the help of these tools, mas mapadali ang pag-research sa mga student. Mas dali silang makita og mga reliable sources and it makes them stay informed or knowledgeable about the current issues sa atong lugar. The third one, collaborating on digital projects via shared cloud platforms. So, for example, mag-send og link ang usa ka student, then pwede na sila mag-collaborate in online platform para mag-create og mga projects. And the last one, learning new skills from YouTube, MOOCs, or podcast. So with this, mas makawatch na sila og mga tutorials or mga videos on how to do specific tasks. Now, here are the advantages of connectivism learning theory. First, promotes lifelong learning. Learners can continuously access new information and skills and supporting ongoing personal and professional growth. Second, encourages self direction and adaptability. Students take responsibility for their own learning and adapt to changing technologies and knowledge. Third, connects learners to global communities. ICT allows learners to engage with experts, peers, and communities worldwide, expanding perspectives and collaborations. And the last, develops digital literacy and information management skills. Students learn to find, evaluate, or even analyze and apply digital information effectively. On the other hand, there is also challenges. First, information overload or too much data online. It means daghan ra kaayo og data online. As I've said nga broad na kayo ang internet. Murag mo po ni ang isa ka reason nga nung mas malisudan gani ang learners to focus kung unsa ang importante nga mga informations nga ilang makit-an online. Second, quality control. Not all online sources are reliable. So, learners should need to evaluate the credibility of the information. Third, digital divide or unequal access to technology. So, kanisad siya no is makalimit ni siya sa mga opportunities sa students to learn. The last one requires critical thinking and self discipline. So, learners must be able to filter information or manage their time and stay motivated without constant supervision. In conclusion, modern learning theories, just like the social constructivism and connectivism, emphasizes that learning is no longer limited sa memorization or individual na effort. Through ICT tools, learners can actively construct knowledge, collaborate with peers, and connect with global communities. Teachers also play a crucial role sa ICT because they became the facilitators or guides sa students so that the student will become independent, responsible, and engaged participants sa learning. Using digital platforms and networks, learners develop critical thinking, creativity, communication, and digital literacy skills. However, challenges like such as unequal access sa technology or kanang information overload and needs sa og self-discipline sa students must be addressed. So, overall, integrating ICT with these learning theories makes education interactive, meaningful, and adaptable, preparing learners for a rapidly changing technology driven world.
Good day, class. Today we will explore a very important topic in modern education. It is how technology influence major educational theories. So, as we all know, education has gone through massive changes over the years. Noon, learner was limited to chalkboards, textbook, and face-to-face lectures. But now, because of technology, learning can happen anytime, anywhere, and in many different ways. So this shift has greatly affected how the major learning theories such as behaviorism, cognitism, and connectivism are applied in the classroom. So, um, as we go deeper into this topic, we will understand how each educational theory adapts and grows in the digital age and how the tools, we use every day supports these theories in real world teaching.
Good day, everyone. I am Jean Leslie Cortez, and today we will explore behaviorism. So, one of the earliest and most influential learning theories in psychology and education. So, behaviorism is all about observable behavior. Yan yung mga kilos na nakikita o nasusukat at napapansin natin sa isang tao. Unlike the other theories that focus on internal thoughts of or feelings, behaviorism argues that learning happens only when you can see changes in a person's actions. So, as a teacher, this means I do not need to guess what the student is thinking. Simply observes the behavior. Kapag may nakita kong improvement like better handwriting, quieter behavior, or faster answering of questions, that is evidence of learning. So let's proceed to the next slide. So here, let's proceed to that technology and behaviorism. So behaviorism is a learning approach from the early 20th century that focuses on observable behavior. It was founded by John Watson. So um, behaviorism was introduced by Watson and further developed by Pavlov, Skinner, and Thorndike. According to them, learning occurs through the formation of connections between a stimulus and response. So, a stimulus is anything that triggers a reaction or some signal, instruction, sight, or sound. So, next is the response. So, a response is the actual behavior that follows, like sitting down, answering, or raising hands. So, sa pamamagitan ng pagpaulit-ulit na pagharap ng learner sa stimulus, natutunan niya ang tamang response. So, learning here is mechanical, predictable, and observable. So, for example, if kung ipinapakita ko ang isang flashcard na may 2 plus 2 at ang sagot niya ay 4, that is a learned response. So, kung maririnig nyo ang bell at kusang pipila, that is also a learned behavior. So, let's proceed to the next slide. So, one of the important beliefs of behaviorists is that only observable and measurable behaviors matters. So, the emotions, the thinking, the imagination, or motivation is not included because this cannot be measured through scientific observation. So, as educator, our goals is to create an environment where desirable behaviors are strengthened through reinforcement. For example, if I want students to participate more, I give praise or points every time they answer. Over time, the participation increases because the behavior is rewarded. So, there are two types of conditioning. The first one is classical condition and the operant condition. So behaviorism is built on two major process. So the classical conditioning is learning through association. The operant conditioning learning through consequences. So both explain how people acquire new behaviors or how habit form and how learners can be trained through repetition. So here we have the classical conditioning. So in classical conditioning, learning happens when the natural reflexes becomes associated with the new stimulus. So the most famous example is the Pavlov's experiment with dogs. So naturally, dogs dictate, and when they see food. So, but Pavlov repeatedly rang a bell every time the food was presented. So eventually, the bell alone, with no food, caused the dogs to salivate. So, dito natin nakikita na ang utak ng tao at hayop ay kayang mag-link ng dalawang bagay kapag paulit-ulit itong pinagsasama. So, for example, in a classroom, when lights off is equal to quiet time. Also, when teacher is raising hands like this, teacher is raising hands, so the students stop talking. So next is when the sound of a timer. So it is the it means it is the end of the activity. So this behavior becomes automatic through repetition. So next is the behavioral operant conditioning. So the operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner focuses on the consequences. So kung ang ginagawa mong behavior ay nasundan ng reward, mas lalo mo itong uulitin. Pero kung nasundan ito ng punishment, mas mababawasan ang pag-uulit nito. So Skinner proved this through his Skinner box experiment with pigeons. So using reinforcement, he trained pigeons to peck buttons, turn in circles, and even push small balls. So the idea is simple. So reinforce behavior it increases, but punish behavior it decreases. So the example here in classroom or in our classroom, when students behave they get plus points. So when the class is noisy, they lose group reward. So when a student submit homework early, they receive praises. And then through these consequences, I shape classroom behavior. So that's it. Let's proceed to the next.
Here we have the following relevant educational technology which can be used. So, observation of learners, selecting stimulus can help elicit the outcomes. So, technology can support behavior strategies. Teacher may use tools or use tech tools to observe learners' progress. For example, online quiz gives clear stimulus, for example, visual cues, maintain classroom management, provide motivation and reinforcement, and also assist special students' need using guided apps. So, for example, a reading app that gives stars or badges. After correct answer, follow reinforcement principle. So, let's proceed to the next slide. Next class, let's talk about how technology supports behaviorist approaches in teaching and learning. So today's classroom are not just traditional setups. We have digital tools that reinforce behavior, provide motivation, help manage students' action. So it can be used in approaches. So technology is very effective because it can give instant stimulus and instant feedback. So in a behaviorism, immediate reinforcement is important. So kaya ang digital tools like quizzes, games, and apps ay nagbibigay agad ng result na nagmo-motivate sa learners. So, for example, when the students answer correctly, the system gives a sound effect, star badge, or a congratulatory pop-up. So this form is a one of a positive reinforcement. Next is the technology to promote motivation. So there are tech tools na it gives gamified learning. So when Kapag may leaderboard achievements, badge, or progress bars, students feels excited to learn. So motivation rises because every small success is rewarded. So this is exactly aligned with operant conditioning principles. For example, the reading apps with stars and scoreboards, the material apps that reward streaks. So, classroom management technology helps teachers manage behavior by providing structured routines and cues. For example, of this is timer apps that signals when activity ends. So when students see points increasing for good action or decreasing for misbehavior, they adjust their behavior accordingly. So this is reinforcement and consequence of work. So lastly, special education support. So technology offers adaptive tools for learners with special needs. So behavior strategies like repetition, clear prompts, and reward systems work very well for SPED learners. For example, the speech app that reinforce correct pronunciation, visual schedules that guides routines, apps that repeat stuff through audio or visual cueing. So through technology, learning becomes more personalized and behavior becomes more manageable. Here, we have the possible learning activities in behaviorism. One is the instructional cues to elicit correct response. So, instructional cues are signals that tell students what behavior is expected. So, these cues guide the learners to produce the right responses. For example, is the hand signal, which means to quiet down or sit down and stop. How about the posted signs like speak softly or a danger sign? Also, we have the clear direction such as move left, form a line, circle up. Then the next one is the color coded instruction for task. So these cues becomes the part of the learning environment, making students respond correctly even without verbal instructions. So the next one is the practice paired with target stimuli. So behaviorism believes strongly in practice repetition. So the more students practice or responds to a specific stimulus, the stronger the behaviors become. So teacher provides clear standards so that the learners know how exactly to behave or perform a task. So one of the example is the practicing reading with correct pronunciation. And the next is the following lab rules like kanang wear goggles, do not touch chemicals. Next one is the repeating procedures until they become habits. So when the behavior becomes automatic, learning has taken place. The next is the reinforcement for correct response. So, reinforcement is the heart of behaviorism. Without reinforcement, learning is incomplete. Teachers use different types of reinforcement to encourage correct behavior. For example, the verbal reinforcement, like very good, excellent job, then, while the nonverbal reinforcement is like smiling, nodding, or a thumbs up. So the social reinforcement is the class applause. The tangible reinforcement, like stickers, stars, tokens. While the activity reinforcement is like free time or choosing a game. So reinforcement builds confidence and motivates students to repeat positive behaviors. The last one is the building proficiency. So the final part of the behaviorist approach is helping learners build proficiency. This means becoming skilled through repetition and guide practice. So teachers encourage students to improve in communication skills like speaking routines, reading drills. Next is the math skills. For example, daily drills or problem solving patterns. Next is the working skills. The teachers can encourage the students to improve working skills like cleaning, organizing, and participating. Also, the social behaviors like respecting the rules or a teamwork. So, by repeatedly practicing correct behaviors and reinforcing them, students become proficient and confident.
So, good day, everyone. I am Mary Ann C. Navarro, and today I will be discuss the topic learning theory of constructivism. So, these topics are important because we now use technology in almost everything: communication, learning, and sharing information. So, understanding proper online behavior and theories behind learning help us become more responsible and effective digital learning. Constructivism. So this slide represents constructivism, a learning theory that views students as active creators of knowledge, not passive receivers. So so constructivism is na siya ay learning is an active process. Kay ang constructivism rejects the idea of memorizing and listening only. Students learn best when they kanang explore, investigate, try things out, interact with materials, participate actively, and active learning engages multiple sense, making lessons more meaningful and memorable. So, nasa siya learning construct new ideas based on the current or the past nga ilang knowledge. This is the core principle of constructivism. Learning does not start from zero. Instead, students connect new ideas to what they already know. This is called schema or building or expanding mental frameworks. So nasa siya ka na ang example niya kay if a student knows what weather is, it becomes easier to understand. And also kana nasa siya social interaction affect knowledge. Kana diri kanang humans learn through communications. Kanang nag-discuss siya helps the students compare ideas or clarify misunderstanding, exchange perspectives, and explain concept to others. These social elements strengthens and understanding. And nasa siya motivation affects learning. Diri kay kanang diri ang students learn more when the topic is meaningful. Then constructivism believes learning becomes deeper when the activity is interesting, the content is connected to the real life of the students, feel confidence and engage highly motivated learners so remember and understand better. So why this is constructivism. Ngano kuno ang constructivism? Because the slide emphasizes that active involvement or prior knowledge, interactions, and meaningful learning, these are the foundation of constructivist teaching. Next is these slides give recommended teaching practices aligned with the constructivism. So first is the assesses prior knowledge. So before teaching, a teacher must know what students already understand, and this helps the teacher connects new topics to familiar ideas. And also, it prevents confusion and support better learning. Ang second is consider individual differences. So students learn at different speeds and in the different ways. So some prefer visuals while others prefer reading and doing activities. So ang constructivist teacher adjust teaching methods to meet different needs. So, ang ikatulo, state the objective, clearly stating the lesson objective gives direction. So, students become aware of what they should learn, making them more focused and purpose in driven. Then ang develop metacognitive skills or metacognition helps students become independent learners. So they learn to reflect on their learning, evaluate their understanding, and choose better study strategies. So this leads to better self-regulation and improvement. So ang ika-5 kay social interaction. So diri kay about a group task, collaboration, or peer feedback and discussion allow students to exchange ideas. So this strengthens learning and develop communication skills. So now these slides explains three elements essential for deep learning. Ang first, incorporate a realistic context. So this means connecting lesson to a real life situation. So when students see how a concept applies to their daily life, learning becomes relevant, practical, and easier to understand and more interesting. Realistic activities makes learning more engaging. Ang second, engage students in relevant practices. So practice should not in memorization. It should be involved applying knowledge to real tasks, and this helps students to develop confidence and mastery. Ang ikatulo kay offers frequent, timely, constructive feedback. So feedback is a communication tool between teachers and the students. So constructive feedback help the students to understand their mistakes or know how to improve, recognize their strength to stay motivated. So timely feedback leads to faster improvements. Teachers today must be skilled in using technology for teaching. So modern classroom use ICT tools such as slides, videos, interactive platforms, and online resources. It is also a teacher responsibility to help students use technology effectively for learning. So this slide emphasizes that teaching should not only give information to students. It is also should allow students to use different media to express what they learn. Example of a media they can use posters, infographics, presentations, videos, and digital stories. So this supports constructivism because students learn by creating, not just receiving information. So when using text in educational materials, we must make them easy to read. So the clear font choice use simple fonts like Arial or Calibri so the students can read comfortably and avoid busy backgrounds because it can cause distracting background, confuse students, and make text harder to understand. So designing text materials like background. So the background design affects the clarity of the text. So ang busy backgrounds cause kanang distractions, difficulty reading, and confusion. So visual overload. Then ang clean background sa siya kay highlight importance informations kay support readability, looks professionals. So this is why educational slides must be clean and simple. To make materials effective, considers as kanang proper arrangement, like spacing, headings, and text styles should help students find information quickly. And second, kay check and revise. Always proofread this ensures clarity, correctness, and professionalism. So the next, the teacher must be aware that students have different reading abilities. Some can read fast and other are slow. So learning materials must match their level or simple, clear, and accessible. And the next is the SQ3R methods. Now, it encourage active reading. So, a method that promotes active reading and deeper comprehension. The first is the S, which is the survey. Look at the titles, heading, and images. Ang next kay Q, which is the question. Create the question before reading. Ang first R is the read. Read to understand. Ang ikatulo nga R kay recite. Summarize or explain the idea in your own word. Ang ikatulo kay review. Go back and check your understanding. So this method supports constructivism because it makes learning active and participants in understanding the text.
Alright, so now we will move to the next one, the cognitivism, which is it's all about how our mind processes information. It sees learning as something active, like means you don't just receive information, you actually organize it, connect it with what you already know, and store it in your memory. Think of your mind like a computer. When given information, your brain analyzes it, saves it, and retrieves it later when needed. Cognitivism, it helps us understand why activities like reviewing, taking notes, or making diagrams helps us remember better. Now I have a questions for you. Can you give an example of a time when you learned something by connecting it to something you already know? And in what ways does your brain work like a computer when you study? Okay, here you see the key principles of cognitivism. First, learning is a process. Information enters your mind. You think about it and then you produce output like answers or some ideas. Second, your prior knowledge really matters. If you already understand the basics, then learning something more advanced ideas becomes easier. Third, organization is essential. When information is structured, like outline, charts, or categories, it makes the brain remember it better. And lastly, the teacher's job in cognitivism is to design lessons that are logical, meaningful, and well organized so your thinking becomes more clearer. Okay, so technology plays a huge role in supporting the cognitivism because it helps your brain process information better. Like interactive tools make learning more engaging, like mind mapping apps that shows connections visually, educational games that gives instant feedback, and simulations that make learning feel real. Multimedias like videos, animations, and digital presentations also help your brain understand and remember because it uses multiple senses. And with technology, you can learn at your own pace, like pausing, reviewing, or exploring deeper. Now, I have a question for you. Why do you think videos or interactive apps help with memory? So let's proceed to the benefits of technology and cognitivism. Technology brings big benefits to learning. It encourages active thinking, helps you understand concepts better, deeper, allows personalized learning, and gives quick feedback, which is important for improvement. But there are challenges too. Sometimes there is too much information, causing cognitive overload. Distractions like notifications or multitasking can also interrupt learning. And not everyone has equal access to technology, which creates a learning gap. So I have another question. What do you think is the biggest challenge students face when using technology? Alright, so to conclude the cognitivism, technology strengthens cognitivism by helping students process, organize, and apply information more effectively. But it should be used to support your thinking, not replace it. We must use technology wisely, making sure it helps our brain learn not to distract it. And I have another question. How can you make sure technology helps your thinking instead of distracting it? Now let's move on to humanism. Technology is powerful, but humanism reminds us that people comes first. Humanism emphasizes the values, characters, responsibility, and critical thinking. The question on the slide is very important. Is technology a blessing or a curse? Is it a bane or a bone? The answer depends on how we use the technology. Remember, technology is in our hands. We can use it to build or to destroy our lives. Now, I have another question. Do you think technology today is more of a blessing or a curse, and why? So, what's the goal of technology in humanism or in learning? Technology should help create meaningful learning, learning that matters to you and to other people. It should help you think creatively, solve problems, and collaborate with others. It also makes lessons more efficient, saving time and increased engagement. And how can technology help you work better with your classmates? So, technology as a bane. Technology becomes dangerous when it's misused. If students will leave everything online without thinking critically or view inappropriate content, technology becomes harmful. When we only watch, scroll, and consume, and never participate, we lose opportunities to grow. So if you use the technology in a wrong way, then it's very dangerous. And now the technology as a bane. Another danger is losing real humanism connection. Spending too much time on screens can hurt relationships. Technology can also be used negatively, like spreading rumors or insulting others. Distractions like constant messaging also interrupting learning. And sometimes people use technology just to kill time. Instead of learning or improving themselves, instead of communicating with others, that's the other reason why technology becomes dangerous. Now, I have a question for you. How do phones distract you during the class? And what are some healthy ways to balance technology and your real life? And now, to conclude the humanism, in the end, technology is either good nor bad. It depends on how we use it, on how you use the technology. If we use it properly, it helps us think, create, and connect with human beings. But if we misuse or abuse the technology, it weakens our focus, our relationships, and even our values. So, true humanism means technology should serve people, not to replace them. I have two questions for you now. What is one habit you want to change to use technology more responsibly? And how can technology help us strengthen our humanity?